I'm the dude that's been through the jungle. I'm just coming back to get you. But eventually, just like with any test, you study to take a test. You don't study just to have the information. Eventually, there's a test you take. That's the game.
King Nation, number one pick in the nation. I need my payment, man, I need my placement. I am, yeah, starting on the payment. I am King Nation, number one, yeah, running the scores like 40 to 40. Buy for a movie, a 30 for 30. Been from the south, making real dirty. Been talking loud, but nobody heard me. That's from me up. CG and D&D, y'all can start. Y'all can call me on James. Y'all thought y'all was worthy. Y'all isn't worthy.
CGN, we all we got. What's up, y'all? I'm Jermaine Thompson. Welcome to the Can't Guard Nation show. This is my co-host, Greg Barnett. We got that ooh-wee for y'all today. We got that ooh-wee for y'all today. And we just gonna keep bringing y'all headbangers. We're gonna keep bringing y'all headbangers talking about what affects this culture. Because if don't nobody talk about it, who will? Can't Guard Nation, we all we got. So, G, I'm going to let you introduce our guest today.
I bet. So, who we got today? We got a former NCAA college basketball coach from University of Arizona, Emmanuel Book Richardson.
Yes, sir.
Appreciate you joining us, Book.
Appreciate you having me. Appreciate y'all having me.
Yes,
Thank you.
Yes.
So, I say the word former because you're no longer coaching. Mm-hmm. Go ahead and tell our audience why.
So September 26, 2017, I was arrested by the FBI, district and FBI, for allegedly paying players for the most part. I was convicted and I served 90 days in jail. I pled to one count to conspiracy to bribery. At that point, like I said, man, it was a whirlwind. So, you talk about in the annals of the first, situation where college coaches have been arrested by the FBI in the history of the game. And then, secondly, I think I was also the one coach that's been to the most Elite Eights without being to a Final Four either. So,
wow,
been to 4 Elite Eights. So, take the good with the bad.
So this was 2018.
2017.
2017.
Yeah, September 26th.
Okay, now, we're going to go into that a little bit. Were you the only one? How many people was arrested?
So altogether, I think it was 10, four African-American assistant coaches that, from all over the country. It was a sting, it was a huge operation. It was literally like out of a movie.
Right.
8 FBI agents, at my door 6 a.m. with a battering ram. Ooh. And like I said, you have no idea. Like, we've seen movies.
Right.
And you start hearing El Chapo and
right.
But you never expect that as a college coach. Especially in your 40s, you're thinking like, what is this? Mm-hmm. And it's traumatic. And when you talk about trauma, that trauma still, I'm still traumatized over, every morning. Hey, I'm 5:30. Because at that point, I'm saying at 6, they can't get me now.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
So this is today.
Oh, yeah.
Okay. That's how you jump up because you're thinking somebody else is still coming at 5:30.
Are you serious?
Wow. Okay. You didn't expect it.
No. I don't think anyone would have expected that, for taking $20,000 that was given to me from Christian Dawkins.
Okay.
Right. To recruit. And we've always kind of laughed.
Who's Christian Dawkins?
So sorry, Christian Dawkins was probably the main character. Was an inspiring, I think he still is an agent, trying to more or less like corner the market with recruits. So what he was doing was talking to college coaches and saying, hey, you know what, if you got a kid, send them to me and I'm gonna make sure y'all good. That's basically what it was. And then after the fact, it was like, okay, well, Book, I'm dealing with these dudes. I don't think they really understand what's going on. Yo, keep the money. That's totally what happened. So it wasn't one of those things where it's like, oh, I'm gonna send you every kid. Nah, if what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna give the kid the information, give the parents the information, go with whoever you want to go with.
Right.
Because again, my goal was to get kids. My goal wasn't to send them places. Because at any point, I think you guys know that once you start, once someone says like, oh, well, I'm sending them to Greg, then you can't recruit.
Right.
Versus, listen, man, Greg's my dude. That's my man. If you go with him, I think it makes sense. If you don't, I'm fine with that too.
Right. Wow. That's deep, man. I remember the morning that I found out.
Me too.
No, I was Ubering, and this white guy got in the car. He's like, man, I gotta get to the airport, and he was like, man, did you hear about the NCAA investigation? He was like some agent or something. Something was going. He a law firm. Something he was attached to it. Man, I'm like, what? And I just remember just the fact that I was just tripping. Like, this is basketball.
Yeah.
This is basketball.
So,
we thought.
right. So, 10 was arrested. Mm-hmm. Everybody was charged. Mm-hmm. How many people did time?
Just 2.
Who's the 2?
Myself and Lamont Evans.
Assistant at Oklahoma State?
Yep.
Why? Well, why? Why did only y'all 2 do time and nobody else did?
That's an incredible question. I think we're still trying to figure that out, and I don't know if it was, again, the conspiracy theory. It was done in the Southern District of New York. For anyone who knows law now, and I found that out the hard way, the Southern District of New York is considered the Southern District of the world. Again, John Gotti was prosecuted there. Again, they bring, Joaquin El Chapo, they bring him there.
Wow.
So,
White Plains?
No, Southern, Lower Manhattan.
Lower Manhattan, okay, gotcha.
You know what I'm saying? Right next to the Brooklyn Bridge. Okay. So I didn't know that. Again, at that point, I hadn't been in trouble. So what, why would I know that? So once it's brought to the Southern District of New York, I just think they couldn't do all of that without somebody's head has to roll. Someone has to be the example.
So I remember I watched that documentary, The Scheme. Mm-hmm. But it was a while back, man. And what happened to, because some Adidas guys, right, got indicted, right? Mm-hmm. What nothing happened with them? So actually, why did they get indicted?
That's a good question, because and I stand to be corrected. Merle Cole was arrested. He just did jail time, and Jimmy Gatto and Christian.
Okay.
So, but there were only 2 coaches who did time,
Gotcha.
and then, like I said, the 2 Adidas employees, and then Christian.
2 assistant coaches.
2 assistant coaches.
Head coaches did time?
No.
I mean,
No.
got indicted?
No.
No head coaches.
No head coaches. So now we're looking at the fall guys. Not only that, these head coaches are still coaching, right?
Yeah.
Wait a minute. Hold up. Wait. I'm sorry.
Right.
Now, one thing I do remember about the scheme, they had head coaches on recorder talking, right?
Yeah, they have the information.
So it's like they're going after the black assistants, you think? Or what you think the FBI's the goal was? What was
right,
their
that's
goal?
A great question.
I think the goal, with all due respect, I think they wanted the black assistants to tell on the coaches. And I think that didn't happen.
Okay.
Because again, I think you needed to you needed cooperating and cooperating information, and no one gave them up. And because I think this thing could have spiraled out of control, had the allegations of hey, he did it, and what was actually done. Because I always say this, in an industry where this thing, quote unquote, paying players has happened for such a long time,
right?
And it's the draconian rules. The draconian rules of the NCAA has said you can't do it. And why? Because the word amateurism.
Right.
So we've been able to say, well, because of amateurism. But unfortunately, to do a job, like if I'm on Wall Street and I'm trying to get this lot, I'm trying to buy this building, guess what? I may know the realtor, and you know what? I don't want anyone else to see it. Here's that. Like I said, there's no time where I'm like, hey, what I did was right. But there's also nothing where it's saying like, what did I was doing my job.
Right.
And especially as a black assistant coach, any coach, but especially as a black assistant coach, you're always known as you got to get the recruits.
Right.
And by the way, you got to take care of them. Because no one really, when you look at the Power Five and you start saying like those jobs, man, because again, we want to take care of our family.
Yeah.
So again, how do you take care of your family? By bringing guys in, bringing talent in. Because guys aren't firing you because you can't coach. They're firing you because you can't recruit.
They're not firing you for X and O.
No.
Right.
They're firing you because you can't get the
Yeah, you can't get a kid.
Overall, coaches know what's going on.
I would say if you didn't, then, maybe you don't want to know what's going on.
Naive.
Yeah, or naive. Again, we've heard about it. And you've heard about it for such a long time. I've had commentators, who are older gentlemen. And I remember hearing what he said. Book Richardson should, what did he say? Book Richardson is bad for the game, shouldn't be involved with the game. And I'm saying this is the same dude who I heard you cheated back in 1975, my man.
Wow.
So it's like the hypocrisy of what we did, and it's like, okay, we were doing a job.
Right.
No matter how you slice the book, that's right, that's wrong. Okay, I made a bad decision, but I didn't break a law. It's still like, well, what rules did you break with the NCAA? I still ask that, and not even being naive. It's just like if someone can, someone from the NCAA can come to me and sit down and say, listen, this is the rule that you broke. Because again, I took money. I never gave money out. That's been proven.
Oh, wow.
That's proven. Everyone that's been involved, at that university, no one's been suspended.
No one.
No kid's been suspended.
So now what? Like in terms of just kind of moving forward, you know what I'm saying? In terms of like coaching career.
Before we even get to that, then we're going to definitely get there.
Yeah.
I want to go more back into, so you're arrested. Did the feds ask you to snitch, so to say? Did they ask you to give up Sean Miller? Did they ask you what? Because from what I read, didn't they have Sean Miller, like some conversations with him? Did they have him on some?
I would say this: they had conversations about the NCAA as a whole.
Okay,
right.
Like college coaches as a whole.
Right.
Okay.
That was kind of, and I'll never say this, but like respectfully and humbly, it wasn't me trying to take down one coach.
Right.
It was about taking down a system of.
Wow.
And that's what kind of the whole thing was like. Wait up, I don't see that.
Right.
And I think, again, because I want to make sure that they did their job. Like I could be mad at the FBI, right? But again, my name just happened to come across their desk.
Right. It ain't nothing personal.
It ain't nothing personal.
Right.
Like I said, and here's the crazy thing. Like after my arrest, like we actually, we talk about football teams, and because again, I think they kind of realized
this is the feds talking.
Yeah, it's the feds. Like we're in Tucson. They take me to their spot. They process me. They was like, I'm gonna try to get you home by the end of the night. It wasn't personal. And that's what I'm kind of realizing, like, whoever started this thing, what they wanted, was it worth it? Because who you ruined, you ruined some couple of black men, right? Because everyone else that's still involved has either been able to make money, has been able to stay in their career. Really, if they moved, it was because they wanted to, not because they had to.
Right.
None of those dudes who deal with they won't deal with 90 days in jail. They won't deal with 2 years probation. You know what I'm saying? They won't deal with if they travel, finally to get your passport back. If you travel every time you come back,
right.
You brought to the room. You know what I'm saying? That's a feeling that's
what you have to do.
Every time.
Wow.
You know what I'm saying? Every time. And it's kind of those things like, man, you go through your 2 years probation. So it's like people don't understand, well, you're not just in jail for 90 days. You're in jail for 2 years, because if you mess up, you're going to, it's not one of those things where it's like, oh, I'm good. Now, by the way, you talk about voting, right? You talk about all those types of things. Now you have a felony. So you got a felony, and it's like, well, I can't hire you because you got a felony, or whatever the reason and or excuse is. It's just like, wow, I got this scarlet letter.
Right. I'm just trying to figure out what was the interest of the feds in NCAA? Like, I just know, I'm trying to connect, I'm listening to you, I'm just trying to connect the dots on what was the interest of the feds, FBI, and NCAA? Like, did somebody piss them off in the NCAA? Like, what?
There was a gentleman who was caught doing something. I believe he was taking money from his clients, football clients. He got caught. The SEC, Securities and Exchange Commission. I don't even want to mention the dude. Dave.
Okay, all right.
You know what I'm saying? With all due respect, I don't even want to mention his name because that's how this whole thing allegedly started.
All right.
He got caught up. They came in, and to help himself, he said, "Hey, I got college basketball."
Oh, so this is recent. I'm thinking you talking about way back. Okay.
No, this is again. That's how this thing started. This wasn't like they didn't have the drop on us. Like, hey, we're doing something. It's the commission. It's book in the commission.
Right.
Because I've always said I'm not smart enough for what y'all giving me credit to do. I'm not like that. In my 40s, I'm like, man, I've escaped, Clay Avenue in the Bronx. You know what I'm saying? 149th Street in Harlem, 117th Street in Harlem. Like I've been able to escape some places that you just don't escape when you look like us.
Right.
It's not set up for you to
Right.
escape. So to escape that now, being in the 40s, I'm like, man, FBI. No, I'm not messing with them. Like I get a speeding ticket, I'm feeling a certain way.
Right.
Again, you just want to be law abiding. That's it, man. Again, I'm in the people. I'm not in the politics. I'm in the people. So, with that being said, I don't, someone again tipped them, and this dude was like, yo, I got college basketball, and therefore they started. Because again, when you look at everything, it was to me, again, like I said, it seemed like entrapment. Because none of us were going to those guys say, hey, I need help recruiting. You've known me. You've known me a long time.
Right.
We've never had those conversations.
Right.
And I mean, and I'm saying personally,
Right.
It wasn't like, we never talked about, I had a bag for such and such. What it was is, shit, you got to take care of kids. If you're on my campus, I'm taking care of you.
Right.
And that's kind of what it was. No matter if I'm in your living room and I give you my word, I'm gonna take care of your son. Maybe I bit off too much. More than I can chew. But damn, I gotta try to get you to the game. It's illegal. I get it. I get it. It's illegal, guys. 100%. I take ownership. But what I told you in that living room, I can't then change my mind.
Right.
Because I think that's also part of recruiting. Now he gave me his word. So now guess what? When one parent talks to another parent, books a lot of things, he's not lying, man. He told me he was gonna take care of my son. And that word take care, because I think the word take care of and the bag, those are two of the, the misguided words. Like, what is it? What's the bag? Because I've heard guys, a book, you gave such the bag. What's the bag? What's in the bag? Right. And taking care of could be like, hey, I remember a story, a kid was hungry on campus, man. He was hungry. I said, yo, you know what? I'm gonna go home. I'm gonna make you some food. So you got stuff for the week.
Right.
Is that illegal? Maybe it is. But he ate.
Right.
Yo, Unc, I caught a flat. I don't know how to change a flat. I got $4. All right, I got send some money. That wasn't an everyday occurrence. That's what I'm saying. Like,
This is once they're on campus.
yeah.
Yeah.
So again, Unc, I tried to call my mom and dad. That was the first thing. I tried to call my mom and dad. It's early in the morning. You know what I'm saying? So it's just part of those things. That's why I'm like, I'll take full ownership, man. You know what I'm saying? If there's anyone from the NCAA, anybody want to, I take full ownership.
Right.
But again, it wasn't about me trying to ruin a life. It was me truly trying to help. And the help came from what I grew up with, for what help looked like.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Help is, help and beauty are the two things. They're in the eye of the beholder.
Right.
Okay, well, book, you hindered. You broke rules. Because I always go back to, just tell me the law that I broke.
And you still haven't, nobody still has told you.
Conspiracy to bribery. I'm like, well, I got bribed. Because again, if I bribed someone, then that person who I bribed, wouldn't they be involved in the scheme?
Right.
Right? Again, Christian Dawkins allegedly bribed me. So I was a part of his scheme. When you talk about the kids, right? Just name me one kid that I recruited that sat out. And now, again, it's 5 years later. So people may not even know those kids, they went to the said university. They don't know. And people don't even know the kids now. By the way, when I walk in, I tell kids a lot of times, like, this is who I am. And, for those kids that's dealing with NIL, I'm like, I'm not saying I'm the godfather of NIL, but again, that thing got expedited. Think about it, and again, I'm not equating weed to what I did, but it's dudes now that's like, hold up, I got in trouble for weed and it's legal?
You said that the other day. You said that the other day.
By the way, by no stretch of imagination am I saying, but I'm talking about something that we can compare like right now.
Right.
Draconian rules. The NCAA 10, 15 years ago, right? There was a head coach that was fired for text messages. 2 years later, text messages were legal.
Wow. So at this point, you shouldn't be held accountable in terms of like the penalty should really not be a severe penalty.
I just think I know I served my time. I served my 90 days. I served 2 years probation. I think like anything else that now you're being cruel and harsh because now you want me to sit out?
Now, when we say you, we talking about the NCAA right now.
Yeah, why am I not working?
So you got to do now. Is the show cause penalty in effect
I
yet?
still have not received the show cause.
Let's talk about what a show cause is.
Right.
A lot of people might not know what a show cause is.
Really simple. You have to show cause while you're hiring that person.
So it's not saying that they cannot hire you.
There are head coaches with show causes.
Right.
Okay.
Right.
Oh, man.
You have to show cause while you're hiring me,
Right.
and then you have to show steps on what you're doing to either help rehabilitate or not for this not to happen again. Well, NIL is legal, so again, right? That's what I got in trouble for, correct?
He said that he called last night. He's like, "Gee, I wanted to touch on NIL because that's why I called you last night." I said, and because he said, "Gee, I want to touch on NIL because." I think what Book did started it. You said something like that. Legalized it.
Like now,
it's like expedited it.
Yeah. That's what's going on right now. So,
And it's not just basketball,
right.
It's football. I look at the young man who's doing an awesome job. He's the starting quarterback at the University of Alabama.
Yeah.
He's doing an awesome job, right? I don't know.
Millions.
I've heard it's in the millions, but what I did see, I saw him on a Heisman Trophy commercial.
Right.
Man, that's awesome for that kid.
Yeah.
That's also, that young man. That's awesome for his family as well. Yeah. Like I said, hopefully if he can play in the NFL, if he can play 10 years, man, he can save some money. But now he got to the NFL where he's already situated.
So now with the NIL, like how do you think that is going to affect the NCAA in college now? Do you think kids are going to stay longer? I mean, like, are they, what's your view on the whole NIL thing, how it's going to affect the culture of the NCAA and all that?
Well, the interesting thing is this, the NCAA is still itself. The NCAA isn't paying the kids. The kids are getting paid off their name and imaging likeness. It's not like they're profit sharing, like, hey, what was attendance, right? What's my cost of attendance versus what was the attendance for the stadium? Do we bust everything down? Do we break it down? What'd you get from merch? See, no one really talks about that. It's still your own name and imaging likeness. And I think after a while, with anything, the business will figure itself out, because if I'm a guy, I'm part of a school's collective, because that's what you have these collectives for the universities and the conferences, and this top 20 freshmen, we give him a great collective deal. Well, he doesn't do as well as we thought he would do as a freshman. Sophomore, he's not the same guy. What am I paying for? See, I think even with the business, right? Again, I'm a car guy. We pay a lot of money for the foreigns, because again, the reputation of the foreigns.
Right.
But let a foreign vehicle not work, we're not dealing with it no more. Again, that's economy. That's basic math. So with the NIL, everything that's done to this point, man, there's truly no regulation, because no one knows how to regulate it. And by the way, the kids, the parents, it gives them an opportunity now. Think about this. kids aren't necessarily going to school for the best fit. They're going for fit and this.
You said that. You said
well,
something like that
that's
last night. Yeah.
Yeah, like that's what I'm saying. Like, so now is this gonna have kids like you said, kids are going for not going for the right fit. But I wanted to kind of talk about the NIL with HBCUs and stuff like that. Like how does that, like, do you think that's going to help them? Because it may not be like a Power 5, right? Mm-hmm. But they may be able to get a better life. You know what I'm saying? A better life over it and get less money. You know what I'm saying? So do you feel like the NIL is going to help them? Help like it?
I think it separates it. You know, Coach Deion Sanders, man, Prime has done an incredible job. He's, the bar is set extremely high.
Right.
He's doing a great job at Jackson State.
Right.
He got number one recruit. It's tough for a kid who doesn't have anything, for someone with something to wave in the front of their face. Right? If you grew up and the most you've ever seen was $200 and someone puts $10,000 in front of your face, that's everything. So now to say like the fit, I got a lot of theories on stuff like, there's a lot of young OGs. Whereas I didn't have a young OG, meaning I didn't have a dude my age telling me, what's right and wrong. I had an older dude who, again, that word, we got to figure some things out. Well, they figured it out. Now, you may have an 18-year-old or you have a 17-year-old, his OG is 18. You know what I'm saying? There's been a shift, a seismic shift. So those dudes like the influencers, they're not saying the influencers on TV and it's like, man, that dude is 30 years old. No, the influencers they saying on television is 18. They talking about, iced up chains, Rocky. And it's like, we had the same things, but it came a little bit differently. So now even with NIL, those kids they're caught up on, I'm not doing that for what? Because I've said this, who are the true influencers? Who are the young black head, assistant coaches? Who are the young black head coaches? Again, when I grew up, I had John Thompson, I had John Chaney, right? I had Nolan Richardson, right? Those are the three that just come to mind.
But who are they now?
Exactly. Ben Jobe, like Coach Ben Jobe, man. Southern University. Think, Big House Gangs, like, again, and I'm going off on a tangent now, but again, you have to be able to study these things, you know what I'm saying? And am I a true historian? No, but I love basketball. You know what I'm saying? It's my passion. I love it.
So do you think that if it was more coaches, because like I listen to you, man, your whole vibe, like the whole, just your whole energy, you can recruit. I think if you was at an HBCU, bro, you could bring in some kids that maybe would not go otherwise. I know you could.
And part of why I know I could, because I didn't just do it at Arizona. I did it at Marist. I did it at Xavier.
So this is kind of what I was talking about with you, G, about how important it is for these HBCUs, and Deion is proving it. Like you got to start having coaches in there that can relate, that can talk to them, that and then you may have this carrot being waved in his face over here. You get this, and this may be a smaller carrot over here, but damn, I love Coach. And I was listening to an interview with the kid Travis Hunter the other day, and he said that he was just like, yo, Coach Prime just kind of talked to me about me being not regular, not going that regular route of the big, of the big school or whatever. So anyway, I'm just saying, bro, like your energy is contagious, bro, and I think you like the. I told him if Deion was coaching basketball, they would have had a team loaded up already.
I think this what also helps Jackson State, with all due respect, they've had success with having. I think they had 9 NFL players. Again, they've had Walter Payton, and a lot of those kids may not know Walter Payton, but they've had, I think, 9.
Yeah.
I don't know.
It's been a while, but it's been a while since they've had one. It's
been a while, but again, he can identify. He can get back to that.
True.
That's the one thing about if there's we talk about the culture, because I'm big on culture. And you talk about having the lineage of me going into your living room and saying, hey, you know what, this has been done before. or by the way, we've been close to doing it. Now we need you to be able to do it, get over the hump. Because again, as I said, I'm old enough, but I'm also young enough where I listen to their music.
I told him, hip hop is not music; it's a culture.
Yeah, and I would say this even with hip hop. My big homie, we had this conversation, Bimmy, and we had this conversation in the car. He said, "Book, the culture is bad. The community is good in basketball. No, in hip hop." He said, because again, you start looking at that community, but our culture, because Kendrick Lamar said, on his last joint, like the culture is all right for, what I'm saying? Dude's in jail, I'm rocking with his baby moms. Versus, nah, you can't do that. Let's make sure she all right. But she on me, so what? You got to teach her, just like I'm teaching myself. Restraint. You know what I'm saying? Like that culture, but again, having that OG.
Right.
I argue with Baby more than anyone. But again, like I said, that dude, if he says something, I listen to him. I don't have to agree with everything he says. But again, like I said, I have OGs that I still talk to. I have dudes that I still run stuff off of.
Right.
I'm not the end all and be all.
Right.
And I think that's the issue. Like, could I do a great job? I think I'd be a great head coach anywhere. But at HBCU and just said, listen, Book, here's 5 years. It's an incredible buyout for somebody to get
That's
him.
the key right there. Right.
Yeah.
So let me ask you this. Has anybody reached out
No.
to you yet? Not one coach. Not even saying, they haven't even said, hey, I'm considered nothing. Not even.
Rod Strickland this summer.
And
Where's he
Long
at
Island U.
Yeah, LIU.
LIU.
Yeah.
And that, like, when I tell you, part of my OGs, like, I'm so fortunate. I'm so lucky that I have dudes like that.
Right.
Dope.
You know what I'm saying? Like, and I have no problem being the dude that's in the room. I know my place.
Right.
I know my place in that room.
Right.
So
New Yorkers always got this thing they call the Jay-Z-isms, right? Because we always relate something to Hove, and it's like, I always say as my eyes scour the room, you know what I'm saying? Like, I'm realizing who I am in that room, what I add to that room, and I also realize, can I bridge that room? Can I bridge the gap from a billionaire to a kid from 1249 Clay Avenue? Can I bridge that gap? Can I bridge the OG, you know what I'm saying, gangbanger to the middle America mom, you know what I'm saying, who stay-at-home mom? Can I do that? And I've done it. Why? Because again, as you grow, the way I grew up was I was around everything. Like I said, I saw my first dead body at 10. It was nothing. I was around hustlers. I was around pimps. I was around prostitutes. I was around doctors. Like, again, I saw that all. And again, through the grace of God in basketball, that's what saves you. Because you run to everyone you run into through sports. When you talk about playing with Riverside Church, I had a dude, his grandfather was co-owner of the Nets or something. He was in practice with us. It was by the way, his grandfather treated us no differently than he treated his grandson. We didn't, again, you're taught you're poor. Right? I didn't realize. But then when I realized I was poor, I wanted more. So guess what? I started doing some things to get some other things.
Loyalty. You had a mean crew. I seen you at Final Fours. I seen you at a lot of AAU tournaments. I seen how you, like you said, you know your place in the room. I seen the people who you move with. Everybody just left you after the arrest?
Gee, that was the craziest thing ever because dudes started saying like, maybe the FBI had something. I'm like, me and you ain't never discussed no business or nothing over the phone. So what do you...
Right.
You know what I'm saying? That's what blew my mind. Like, don't make yourself more important than you are.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Like, don't do that. Don't play that game with me. Because again, I never put anyone in a situation of compromise. If anything, I helped y'all. And y'all know whether it's, I don't think we get the kid. I'm going to try to help you get the kid. Listen, I know you recruiting this kid. I spoke to the AAU high school coach. You need to check him on that. It was never like, we got this syndicate. No, I'm trying to help. Because again, that word loyalty to a flaw, I'm coded differently. That's my code. Everybody ain't got the same code, and that's all right. The decisions that I make, that's what I choose to do. That's what I do. But my code is that's what it is. And again, the big homie, the father, you know what I'm saying? God, that's how he made me.
So what's your speaking of loyalty, get like the staff who you know, because you were at Arizona what for 11
A long time.
it was 11 years.
Yeah, something like that.
So what's your I mean, any contact with any other staff or like Sean Miller, like nothing since that happened?
What hurts is because you felt like it was a family.
Right. That's what I'm asking.
You know what I'm saying? It felt like it was a family. And I understand, I definitely understand his point of view. Because again, you get lawyered up and you know what the first thing they tell you? Separate
Don't
yourself.
take his calls. Don't do
Yeah.
yeah.
So, you know, and again, in that situation, you know, some people have been pissed off like, yo, you should do X, Y, and Z. I'm like, yo, dude didn't get me arrested.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? But again, am I mad? Why wouldn't I be? Like when you with someone that long, you know, you expect certain things. But at the end of the day, I also understand self-preservation. Again, I grew up with the pack mentality.
Right.
We grew up with the pack mentality.
Right.
I didn't grow up individual.
Right.
Again, that's what helped me with basketball.
Right.
You know, I probably couldn't play golf. You know what I'm saying? I probably didn't have the propensity, you know, the mental wherewithal to play tennis.
Right.
One-on-one.
Right.
Even if you box, you got, you know, your corners there.
Right. Right. You got a team.
You got a team. You know what I'm saying? You got a team.
I want to box him. He won't.
Yo,
in the ring
let's
with
set that up, yo. Get the gloves ready.
All right, so we got loyalty. I'm gonna go another word, family. He said family, but your real family. Because I know we spoke when you came out. I reached out to you about something else, about made hoops. And
we were
talking. And that call, and it's crazy because I remember where I was. It was in front of Kinko's. I was going to get something done at Kinko's, and we ended up talking for like 2 hours.
Yes.
And I could sense on the call you kind of went and you got emotional.
Yeah.
Because you was telling me about your family. You want to share that? Like, I think your family.
I'm telling you, this is probably one of the first times in a very long time that I'm not overly emotional because again, it means so much to me because again, there's a level of passion, you know, that loyalty, that family, it means everything to me because again, a kid growing up, my mom had me at 15 years old. So she gave me everything that she could. I always talked about like, I wish my mother would have aborted me because again, I felt like I took away from her. And again, you know, there's a level of emotion that I'm feeling right now. Like I always, you know, they laughed and was like, yo, you know, Book graduated from UCLA. No, he didn't. Yeah, University on the corner of Lenox Avenue. Whatever my mother didn't teach me, the streets did. And they were a very willing learner. I mean, they were very willing teacher. I was a very willing learner.
Yeah.
You know, so that word family, I was able to make up, right? Okay, hey, that's my brother, right? Because we cool. That's my aunt, like, because we cool. You know what I'm saying? That's my big brother.
Right.
Because that's all I really wanted was family. Because I didn't know anything else.
Now, what about the family you made?
So
Wife and kids.
the crazy thing, you know, you talk about the last 5 years, you go through a divorce. And again, man, I want to make sure that I say this. It's easy to make her a certain way. She ain't the villain, I ain't the victim. You know, I would love, you know, I would love to make sure that my kids knew that. Like, again, we were good at everything. We just sucked at marriage. And I didn't know any better, right? Again, there was no therapy. I didn't believe in that at the time.
Right.
You know, so again, my kids are still in Phoenix. You know, my daughters, you know, again, like I just found out really like you talk about having 3 daughters, man. You know, I'm a girl dad. I'm not a feminist. I'm, you know, again, the wordplay, but again, like, damn, God knew what he was doing. Because again, you talk about wanting a family, wanting love. At one point, you know, I was what? I think 18 or 19 years old. I had 11 girls. All of them who I thought I wanted them to be my girl. But again, I didn't realize I had mommy issues. I didn't realize I wanted my mom. You know what I'm saying? I didn't realize I wanted that love. So guess what? I'm going to get it from the love of a woman. Again, you talk about going through therapy to have to figure that out, figure that out. Because again, I just thought, yo, you know, I remember my uncle telling me, yo, a rat with one hole is a sorry rat, homeboy. Variety's the spice of life. So, all right. Damn, Book, now she like, ooh, you feeling her? And it was, again, you know, that word love, man. Because again, I felt I had to tell them I loved them to get something from them. I didn't think they liked me for me. I thought like, you know, I hooped a little bit, had a little bit of money in my pockets, but I felt like I had to, yo, I love you. You know, not realizing like, yo, homeboy, they choose, you don't choose. They choose. Don't play that game like, you with your girl, like, yeah, she feeling me. Yeah, I know. So, that again, just in terms of my family, I tried to make sure that they were on pace to be as successful, to be way better than me. Because again, I would never want any of my kids to experience my childhood. Right. But part of it is I think I've done them a disservice conversely, because what made me who I am was my childhood.
How's the relationship now with them? Like to this?
Yeah, my son, like I said, that's my dog. My daughters, they're more like my mothers than anything else.
Okay.
And it's dope because I have an opportunity to talk with them, not lecture them. I have an opportunity to like rap with them.
They grown? How old are they?
30.
Oh,
okay.
You know what I'm saying? So, Chastity, Saray, Chanel, you know what I'm saying? And overall, you talk about having some surrogate daughters. So again, like, I got a lot of them.
Okay.
And part of it, I think there's a connection because I want to show them that, you can deal with a dude and it can be the right way.
Okay.
yeah, absolutely. That's important.
And again, but I learned that from being a womanizer. And like I said, I don't like to play on words, but again, I guess that's what they call it. But again, like, I own it. And, it's like being an addict. I'm recovering.
Yeah, and you stopping the trauma, like you stopping it. He's like, all right, that's how generational curses are passed down, because you don't stop the trauma, like you don't stop it.
You don't see anything wrong with it.
Right.
Again, like I said, I never saw successful. I can't recall seeing a successful marriage other than on TV. You know what I'm saying? I can't recall, again, I saw Heathcliff Huxtable. I didn't believe that though.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? I believe more in good times.
Right.
So, those were things that, especially like I said, with my family, man, my son, my grandchildren, like they mean the world to me. And it's tough being away from them.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? It's tough being away from them because that's the one thing that I grew up, they were in that house. You know what I'm saying? They were in that house. I watched them, when I was home, I watched them go to sleep. I watched them wake up. It's pop, it's as they run around, like they all knew, like, nah, I don't treat nobody differently. Like my my son always be like, yeah, Dad, I'm your favorite. I'm like, your homeboy.
How old is he?
21.
Oh, he's 21. I got my age of my son.
Yeah. So again, and part of it, I like, my son is such a bright dude, but again, you talk about the last 5 years that this thing has happened. He had to watch his father get handcuffed. He was there.
So he was at the crib.
He was at the crib. You know what I'm saying? So again, trauma, right? Because no one has said, all right, I don't want to take care of Book. Take care of his son. Make sure his son's good.
Right.
Make sure his son's good. Right? I may not be able to do anything with him because it's hot, but his son, man, because again, that's what do you want? He didn't ask for that. No one asked for it, but again, to watch his son, to watch his father, no shirt on, be handcuffed, you know what I'm saying? Have guns drawn on him. Come on, man. Because again, he's thinking, what did he do?
Right. What did he do? Like, what he do? He got something going on. Like,
word.
Like,
I remember on that call when we were talking, you said you even contemplated suicide.
2 times. You know what I'm saying? Because part of it, you don't want everyone else's secrets. So, and again, I'm blessed to have family like Chucky Martin. We FaceTime, and Chuck never FaceTime me because I've always kind of been their captain. Eddie Rivera, the point guard before me, that's probably like one of my biggest idols that no one knows about. New York City point guard, he was there. I learned how to be a leader from him, right? Him, Mike Thompson, Chucky, Darryl Reed. No one talks about those guys, but they everything to me. And I'm sitting and I'm out poolside, and I saw something on ESPN, and I was like, you know what? Nah, fuck this. So had a gun.
This is where? This is
in Tucson.
Okay, go ahead.
This is like 2018.
So before you went in?
Yeah, before I went in, and I just put the gun in my mouth, and again, like I always say, God is incredible, because Tuck never FaceTime me. Boom, what you doing?
So you had the joint in your mouth,
ready to go. Dog's going crazy.
Are you serious?
My son was in the house. And Chuck was like, yo, leader, fuck out of here. He said, yo, you a coward. You a coward, homeboy. You gonna do that? Your son's in there? So go in the woods and do it if you gonna do that, man. Don't leave that to your son. Your dog got to see that stupid shit. It's like, oh shit, now I'm crying. I'm like, boom, take the gun out. I take the joint out. You know what I'm saying? I look at Chuck like, damn. And I never really talked about this because the price of what I was willing to do, you know what I'm saying, G, I didn't want anyone else's secrets.
Right.
I didn't want to talk about nobody else. And I felt that if I did this, there's nothing else to talk about. Not realizing like your son's got to, like, first of all, he see you get arrested, like he's watching. Mm-hmm. You know, and I probably said sorry to too many people over this last 5 years. I probably said sorry way too much. But him, like, I owe an apology to. You know, and if I could say sorry to my dog, I would too, because he knew this wasn't right. You know what I'm saying? And it's like that feeling that you have is real, because no one understands the mental trauma and stress of the FBI. Like, oh shit, like, you gotta think, G. They took my license and was like, no, you owe back child support. I said, yo, my kids are grown. They said you owe $45,000 in back child support. Then they said you owe property tax. I was like, yo, like, so many things started showing up, and it was the power of, you know, like, yo, the United States of America versus Emmanuel Richardson. The United States of America versus Emmanuel Richardson. How many times have you won that? How many people have won that? You know, and I always go back to this, David and Goliath, right? We always tell that story. It's the greatest feel-good story. Why we only talk about the one time David won? Why don't we talk about the times Goliath was punishing people? Why don't we talk about the 1,000 wins Goliath has? Why we always talk about the one time David won? Right? Because again, with a 96, 98% conviction rate, there's nothing like that in the world. That machine is real. And if you saying like, yo, I want to fight who?
Right.
You're fighting in the dark with your shadow that you can't see. So again, you talk about contemplating suicide, dealing with them dudes. Yeah. That's how you feel. And that, again, you talk about another time, yo, I came from church. You know what I'm saying? I was on the phone with my sister. You know what I'm saying? Before that.
This is before prison or after?
This is now after prison.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm in church. Like, I walked from church. I was on 116th Street, New Canaan. Yo, I walked up. I couldn't walk no more. I just felt so heavy. You know what I'm saying? I'm on the phone with my man in DC. He was like, yo, fight, bro, fight. He was like, yo, fight. I didn't want to fight no more. Because at that point, I'm like, yo, I'm home now. I'm in New York. I don't want to be here. My probation forced me to stay in New York City. I didn't want to see the dudes that I grew up with. I didn't want to be a failure to everybody. Because again, I remember certain people telling me, yo, either you're going to be dead or locked up by age of 21. I never thought I never talked, you know, my sister tell you, I never talked about being old. Never talked about being old. I never thought about being 30, bro. I never thought about being 40. I thought I'd be a beautiful corpse. I never talked about being older, just like that mindset was, I'm going to do whatever I have to do to survive. And yo, you just feel like this is it. And I was going to jump off of a bridge. I didn't want to involve anybody else. I didn't want to drive my car into somebody. You know what I'm saying? That's going to fuck up traffic. You know, I didn't want the gun piece. I was like, shit, now I'm in New York. Now I'm a felon. I get caught with a gun. I'm on my way walking now. So again, like, I'm thinking this out. I'm thinking this whole thing out. And I'm like, yo, I'm just tired. And my man was like, yo, come on. And he called my ex-wife at the time. And that conversation was wicked, because I was hurt. See, I was hurt. And I was like, yo, you know what? I'm gonna do this. And I was like, yo, I'm gonna jump. And now and I deal with hurt with humor. I had this dude on my shoulder. He was like, yeah, jump, you know what I'm saying? It's what it is. And this dude was like, yeah, it's what it is if you jump, but probably not high enough. You probably break your legs and your hips, and you know, you and that's what it was. It was the humor of, yo, you're just hurting right now. Because you're back home, you can't, like, no one's telling you you can't work. You know, I mean, no one's telling you why you can't work. You know, you're working in the Gaucho's gym and you're like, yo, I'm here every day. Instead of looking at it like, nah, yo, I'm here every day. I'm affecting lives.
Right.
But my life is still being affected.
Right.
And again, it's part of the pack mentality, right? It couldn't just be about me. It couldn't be about, yo, well, I'm feeling a certain way and now they gonna suffer. Because like I said, that 2025 team, right? Me and you were just talking about that.
Yeah.
Them dudes saved my lives. Like, them kids, they don't realize, like, we was in practice. Nah, like, we in practice because, again, think about COVID. You know how much time I spent with those kids?
Yeah, I saw you at Made Hoops 8th grade 2 years ago. Them kids love you. You love, like, you was into it. Like, you know what I mean? I can see it.
And I suspend, it's the weirdest thing because I got a certain relationship with a couple of them where it's like, you know, I suspend them after the games. It's like, all right. But they understood what we were trying to do. And when you talk about a team, like, it's not about wins and losses, but I would just say they went 6 months without losing a game. You know, and they weren't, quote unquote, the most talented team. But when I tell you system, the approach, they understood what we were doing. We treated this like we were the University of Arizona Wildcats. I was going to get to a Final Four.
And that gives you life.
That gave me life. Because what I was trying to do was I was trying to pour from an empty cup.
Right. Right.
Not realizing every time I pour, it fills back up. Them dudes.
How soon after you got out of jail did you start working in the Gaucho's gym?
October. Yeah, I went right into it. Nice. And I probably needed some time to kind of deal with me because, again, like I said, there was times, you know, I'd have to run out because I say to myself, damn, this is what we would be doing to prepare for UCLA. This is what we'd be doing to prepare for Colorado. You know what I'm saying? They're hard hedge. What are we doing? And it's like, it snaps. You know, like I said, there was an episode that I was in Otisville and I forgot my social security number. Like, something happened. I forgot my date of birth and it was like, oh, what's happening to me? Wow. Because it was like, I guess my brain trying to protect me. Saying, nah, you're not here. Nah, you're here. You know, like the present, like, nah, you here. Like, you got your greens on, it's count time. You know what I'm saying? Like, dudes used to, oh, you just in camp. No, you're right, I am. Federal count time, we all up the same time. You know what I'm saying? Like, we don't do anything different. And I think that's what, you know, when you start getting into those kids giving back, man, because they don't realize that they're giving back. Right. That group was taught to give back because they're 7th graders at the time. So I'm dealing with them during COVID. And again, a godsend, the Gaucho's gym never closed. Actually, one time we had somebody call and was like, yo, they doing stuff in there. Nah, open that joint back up, man. Right. You know, it was bugged out on my way here. I was in the airport and I saw a young kid I didn't know. And I went to the bathroom and I broke down because he was like, yo, OG Book was good. And I was like, OG Book. I'm just Book, you know, but you don't realize the people that you affect.
That OG word's strong.
You know what I'm saying? It's strong, but the crazy thing is we're in the airport and I wish I knew because that's as I get older, like I said, something happened to me. So I forget names. You know what I'm saying? I remember I was in front of this parent and I forgot her name. I had to go to the text message to find.
Yeah. I get it.
You know what I'm saying? So when he did that, then it was 2 other dudes. Your OG Book. And I was like, I started walking fast. Like, oh, shit. And dude, like, you know what I'm saying, when he called up, he's like, yo, piece me up. You know what I'm saying? Give me a hug. And he's like, yo, OG, you all right? Like now I'm getting fucked up because he was like, yo, you all right? That was, man. I said, yeah, but sometimes I don't expect the love that I get. And those
touch
kids,
lives, bro.
yeah, you know what I'm saying? And those kids, like, I had this young lady, Crystal Jimenez, 8th grader. I taught her. I never coached her. She found me on social media and was like, yo, Mr. Richardson, I just want to tell you thank you.
Thank you. I get it a lot.
Yo, I'm like,
Yeah, me too.
I taught 8th grade.
Yeah.
I didn't know what I was doing.
Yeah.
She was like, you forced me to think.
See what I'm saying?
That OG, tell you, Saturday, you know, down here in Atlanta, they got the kids on the corner selling waters.
Right.
So I pull up this stop sign. The kid was like, he's like, you know, take one of these off me. I'm like, all right, man. I always help them out. Pull out some money. He said, oh, OG, man, send me home for the day.
Right.
I gave him 20. He said, oh, OG, man, send me home for the day.
Yeah.
He seen it now, pull out a couple, you know what I mean? I just gave him the dub. I had to do it. That OG hit different.
And
does,
especially
man.
with those older kids, like, I wish I can give him the credit that he deserves. I didn't know.
Right.
And I'm telling you, like, this ain't the first time it's happened. Like, I go to, whether it's LaGuardia or Kennedy, it'd be a dude that's like, I remember I went to DMV trying to get stuff situated in my license. Dude, look, he was like, yo, OG, come on this line. I looked around, I was like, nah, this gotta be the 52 fake. I'd act like I ain't hear him. Yo, OG, book, yo, book. I ain't playing games. Coach Book. Bro, came over. Oh, you anything? Nah, you a legend, bro. Legend. And that, you know, because again, the wordplay, right? I see goat, and I'm like, yo, guys, you do know goats get slaughtered.
Right. You said what?
Goats get slaughtered.
Yeah.
So we take goats to slaughter.
Yeah.
You know, and that word legend, I don't know because I'm not sure if my story is done yet.
But bro, that's what I was just about to say. I'm like, yeah, a legend, but bro, like you got,
Yeah, I mean,
you got lives to touch, bro. I mean, you're touching them. You know, I mean, your story is not over. Like a dude like you, man, who's just genuine, man, spirit, man. Like, bro, it's gonna be so much opened up for you, man.
God willing, man.
You know, God is willing.
God willing.
And to go with that, to the AD or to that head coach that's listening right now, what do you say to him? That one that might be scared to reach out. You know what I mean? It might be, has he learned his life? Whatever it may be. What do you say to that AD or that head coach? And that's if you want to get back. I believe you want to get back to your passion of coaching college basketball, right?
At that prominent HBCU. But go ahead, bro.
President X, Athletic Director X, allow me an opportunity to at least tell you who I am. Allow me an opportunity to tell you my story. Allow me an opportunity to be able to affect these kids in a way that I'm not sure that anyone else can affect them. I'm from the same parts that they're from. I think having an opportunity to touch their lives with the understanding of they look like me, they sound like me, and having an opportunity, and also seeing that good people make bad decisions. And who better to teach these kids than somebody that's been through something like myself? It's been through basketball. I've had my own kids, and Lord knows I haven't been always right with them. But if you give me an opportunity to be able to coach, to be able to teach, to be able to mentor, to be able to love them, that's what they want. I always tell my kids this: I will run through a wall for you. I just need you to meet me at the wall. And if you can put me around some kids, if you can put me around some administrators, because again, I bring rooms together. I understand coaching just isn't X's and O's, and I'm willing to do everything else that I'm, within the legal realm, to make this university one of the best universities in the country. And I also understand that I'm not only just a coach, but I'm also the CEO of this Fortune 500 company. And if you give me an opportunity, like I said, not only am I going to sound the part, look the part, I'm going to be the part.
Hey,
Powerful.
hey, man. Coaching is about relationships. I always said this. I don't care if you got the most genius offensive and defensive mind. If your kids do not buy in or relate, I mean, but they buy in through your relationship with them, man. If they don't, if they don't buy in, it's not happening. I don't care if you Phil Jackson, it's not happening.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So ADs, presidents of universities, and I'm just an HBCU dude.
That's fine.
I went to FAMU, man. You know, he went to Morgan State. Like, we talk all the time about it.
Yeah.
I just feel like it's time, man. Like, I feel like it's time. Like, Dion came at a great time. You know, great time, but it was when the George Floyd situation happened. Just the climate now and the energy is moving in that direction, and I feel like this is a great time because we discussed about coaches, how important it is to have certain coaches, man, certain types of coaches in those positions at these HBCUs, and then like I said, they can't wave the big carrot like that in front of them as much. Like, you know, we'll be able to catch some big. More elite
again, I
athletes.
think with Coach Prime, you know, again, I remember watching Dion. He was probably one of my favorite cornerbacks, one of my favorite athletes. And what's truly helped him is, you know, he's been in the booth. You know, he's still close to the NFL, but he doesn't have a felony. So again, that one was easy for him because I think now, if you let me express and explain what happened.
Right.
You know, because again, that word, it comes back to loyalty. Mm-hmm. If I'm not willing to take down a system or at least try to,
Right.
you know, because again, I never tried to say,
Right. And you could have easily done that.
Yeah.
And by the way, it didn't even have to be the truth.
Right.
Right.
Right. Right. Right.
You know what I'm
Right.
saying?
Right.
The greatest thing about a lie is that it has some truth to it.
Right.
So it didn't even have to be, you know, the truth. Again, you take the high road because that's what I knew. That's how I'm coded. Who would you want teaching your kids?
Right.
Right? Who would you want to say,
Right.
listen, you know what? Be accountable for yourself. Right? Because again, we live in a time where it's results driven. There's nothing wrong with that.
Right.
I'm from an era where I'm process driven. I've fallen in love with the process of getting better.
Nice.
Like I said, you come to my 8th grade practice, or now they're sophomores. You come to their practice again. Like, I have practice plans written out for the last 2 years. Like, those kids know.
Them kids are getting the best.
Yeah, and you know,
I joked with them saying I was gonna fly Breon up to play on that squad.
Them kids are getting the best.
and they also understand, like, when parents come to practice, they sit there. The kids will, like, if a parent's on the phone, kid will look up. Don't taint my classroom. Because as much love and respect that I have for the English teacher, you don't go there and do that.
Right.
You don't sit 45 minutes, because I always tell them I got 2 hours to this day,
Right.
2.5. I want to make sure I never disrespect their time. I never disrespect them.
Right.
So when they break the threshold of this gym, they understand, like, nah, this dude love me. But also the accountability. I can't let this dude down and get that bad grade. And if I do, what happened?
Right.
But those are the things, like I said, you know, I've become a better coaching that group. And then my 2026 group, I've got some guys that are talented, but they were able to see the class ahead of them. Oh, that's how practice is. Okay, that's
Creating
the
a
culture.
culture.
That's the culture.
Right.
You know, when one coach talk, you hear a pin drop. And check this out. We start every practice upstairs. Again, you say, hey, what's your points per game? What's points allowed? Those kids will tell you 45.
You know what's funny? Because New York had youth basketball had gone down, like the Gauchos and stuff, just had gone down. And I was hearing the Gauchos coming back. Like, the Gauchos are coming back through Tony Lopez.
Yes.
Remember, like, the Gauchos coming back. But I didn't know this is why the Gauchos was coming back. I had no clue, man. I just heard the Gauchos was coming back. But now I see why the Gauchos was coming back.
But those kids have allowed me to coach them. And like I said, the parents have bought in.
Yeah.
Like I said, you look at parents when they're like, shh. And it's not that I'm a tyrant. It's the fact that, like I said, you're going to want your son to play well on that Saturday afternoon, on that Sunday afternoon. That starts right now. The preparation starts now.
That's right.
I remember, and I always tell this story. We played in the championship game of this spring league. It was, I don't think we lost. I think we, like, 6 straight weeks, and we were playing against a team that was probably more talented than us. At halftime, it was 41-19. It had everything to do with the process. Like, I asked them, when we play in the championship game, that's all I talked about. Mm-hmm. ad nauseum. Because I would ask the better kids on the team, how many championships you got? How many championships you got? Right? I thought that was important. Is it? Oh, okay. Final Four is important because we got 2 of those. How many championships you got? And after a while, that mentality,
The focus.
yeah, like it's razor sharp. Now it's like, we're trying to get to this championship, right? There may be a couple of possessions that come down that we don't score, but did we get what we wanted? Defensively, are we where we were supposed to be? In transition, what are we doing? Offensively, defensively, right? What do we understand? Like those guys know transition defense. You know what I'm saying? We crash. Like, who are we? Our identity. We had an identity. And like I said, that team we played, it could have been anyone. I felt at that point I was the best coach in the country. I felt there wasn't anyone who could outcoach me. I felt, line for line, like, again, you do this, got it covered. Oh, we want to go junk defense, we got that covered. Zone, please go zone. Please, watch this. Man to man got you. So again, like those guys, you start to say like, damn, well, we can't score on them, and they're in transition. Corner threes. Like my man Mike, OG Baldy, one of my assistant coaches. I'm actually his assistant coach. Him, Rob, and Tom Mushat. Like those guys, man. You hit a 3 and you hear Mike, count them up. Count them up. You know what I'm saying? Think about it. There was time we had 15 threes in the game. Well, you know why? Because they're good shots. They're uncontested corner,
right.
Transition threes.
Right.
We're not shooting under duress. And that was the count them up. And that those kids, that mentality, like I had a kid, Johnny King, and he's a dude, his voice is raspy and this is squeaky voice. And he looked at me one time, and it was a semifinal game. He was like, we're going to win by 60. I looked at him, I was like, you better fucking relax. But I just knew him and his dudes, like, Brandon Stores Jr., he had told me, he and Todd Turnage was like, yo, coach, we've won white all through the playoffs. Because I would always say that's the highest seed. Mm-hmm. The white, the team that's in the lighter uniform is supposed to win. Mm-hmm. He said, we've been in white. I said, what does that tell you? Mm. They went out 41-19 at a half. Mm. And then they started saying, don't let them get 30. Mm. It's like, oh, shit. But again, that culture, culture. So guess what? Those kids are in high school now. The majority of those kids have started, they've started on the varsity teams. When we grew up, you don't play varsity as freshmen, let alone start.
Right.
I got guys now, that's kind of the norm. Oh, you play for book, you're going to play varsity. I'm like, I don't know about that.
Right.
But they should be prepared when they get to their coaches.
And you touching these kids, yo. Yeah. I did want to, I wanted to, but I just listened to you, man, your relationships that you formed, that you've seen the good, the bad, the ugly of the NCAA, like, the NCAA, what goes on behind the scenes, all of that. But because I think he disagrees, and you may disagree. I just think on that high level, I think there's more victims than there are victory, man, with our kids, man. Like, I think that they don't get prepared enough because it's basically pro or bust a lot of times. So what things do you think the NCAA could do better? You know what I'm saying? The team or a coach could do better just to prepare the athletes, man, for life. You know what I mean?
I've always threw this around. If you told a kid, hey, if you stayed, each year you stayed, you got $75,000, right? You got $75,000, and if you graduated with a 2.5, you got a house, a car, right? $200,000. It incentivizes you to stay. Versus, I gotta go out, I gotta go make money, because I don't think that I think we've done I think we've done a terrible job of making sure that they understand that you have as a young black male, you have a better chance of being a brain surgeon than playing in the NBA. You have a better chance of being struck by lightning than playing in the NBA.
Right.
Like, again, there's only 60 picks each year. They ain't changing. They're not going to 120 picks.
Right.
And now with analytics, you start to say, like, all right, well, if who am I? I'm gonna take the safe pick, right? Because our NBA, we're all around the same age. Our NBA is much different than today's NBA.
Right.
again, when we had Oakley and John Starks and those guys, I'm not saying that they wouldn't do what they were doing, but again, the mentality, also there's these, they're friends, whereas you have mortal enemies. Now, like I said, those kids are, I'm going to universities together, which is, and I think it's awesome. But I also think, we started this thing so early with a such and such as a 8th grade All-American.
Right.
No, he's not.
Right.
There's no such thing.
Right.
As an 8th grader, you know what you do? You go to 9th grade.
Right.
That's it. I've never seen, and like I said, maybe I'm not old enough. I've never seen an 8th grader go to college.
Right.
On a scholarship.
I think it's killing the kids, man. Like, it's just giving them their roses, man. Like rolling out the red carpet for them, man. Before it even, so they get to they get the spirit of entitlement, and as they go up, they don't learn how to push past adversity.
But the adults, we don't teach them no. See, what I've learned, like with my group, the kids are the kids. Did I have a couple of entitled kids? Maybe, maybe not. Yeah. I didn't deal with that. I dealt with, like, by the way, and everyone isn't as fortunate to say, listen, I'm never going to quote unquote pull my pants down. But when I pull my pants down, I know what I got. Because if everyone want to want to pull your pants down, but I've never had to go through like, yo, I got 52 boys, man. Like, don't play with me, man. I'm saying, like, I've coached in some, and even like, I think.
When you say you got 52 boys, what you mean?
52 young men that's either played in the NBA or overseas. So, like, I'm not playing that game with you. And I always go back to that dude who, the quote unquote dude who you're talking to. I coached in 4 Elite 8 games. I also was Division II All-American, led the nation in assists 2 years in a row. I'm not playing with you. So I'm again, going back and forth, like, now we're not on a seesaw.
Right.
I'm trying to help you get to where you want to go, and you realize how hard it is.
Right.
I'm the dude that's been through the jungle.
Right.
I'm just coming back to get you.
Right. Right.
So those are the things that I think as coaches, I think when we grew up, we had to listen to coaches. Now there's way too many teams. There's way too many trainers. There's way too many people that's trying to make money off of it. We've monetized the sport. And we don't, and like I said, as the adults, we don't want to take accountability for, we've monetized this thing. Oh, I'm gonna take him to a trainer. Nah, let him play against the older dude. We, again, reclassification. Before we wanted to play against the older dudes. Now the older dudes are playing against the younger dudes because they're trying to get to what they want. Not realizing, I thought what you wanted was the NBA. I didn't realize just college was the goal.
So you don't agree with kids training?
I do, but I also believe in, just like you have a teacher and a teacher's assistant. The trainer has to be able to teach you what that guy's doing, right? Because again, there's skill development and there's player development.
Right.
So again, you got to be able to say, like, how do I know how to deal with a DHO?
Right.
Well, how do I know what the reads are?
Right.
If I'm not in it.
Right.
Right. Sit down with them. What are the reads coming off a side ball screen? Well, is the corner open or is the corner empty?
Right.
What does that mean? Is someone in there? Because if no one's in the corner, guess what? This guy can pick and pop. Well, he can't pick and pop if someone's in the corner. Guess what? His man's there. Right? How are they guarding the ball screen?
Right.
Right? How they guarding it? Oh, well, he switched. Okay, well, I can't throw back.
Right.
And if I throw back, it'll be going, it's a big and he can drive.
Right.
He jumped it. Now I can throw back.
Right.
He's just shitty. I'm getting to the middle.
Right.
But those are the things, like, I'm not sure they're doing in training sessions. And by the way, there are some great trainers, just like teachers. There's some great teachers and some teachers that are not so good. Right. There's some really good coaches. There's some coaches that are not so good.
Right.
I just think, like, part of it, as we talked about earlier, as we alluded to earlier, having that chance to say, okay, how are we doing this? What makes sense? Because what you teach, I may not be able to teach. And I think sometimes as men, we don't get together and like, yo, well, I'm teaching left foot pivot. You may say, well, Book, I'm teaching jump stop. All right. It's good to have both.
Right.
But what happens when it's like, when you give a kid so many things to do, guess what? He does nothing.
Right.
When you load the mind, you slow the feet.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So when you, and again, like that's what I would tell an athletic director. That's what I would tell, president, that's my philosophy. It's not about giving a kid 50 different things. Think about what you give your kids at home. You give him 50 things to do, he might do 2. He or she might do 2.
Right.
think about where we're from. If a kid's 12, you know, I've heard kids, oh, he's a pro at 12. I'm like, man, a lot can happen.
Yeah.
But part of it, if to the naked eye, if you've never seen it, or guess what? I talk to a lot of kids now. They don't watch basketball. They don't watch a ton of basketball. No. So that's your issue. Where we grew up watching basketball, they don't watch a ton of it because, again, guess what? They're training.
Right.
So you know they're more skilled now. I would definitely say.
I call them cone kids.
The cone never moves,
Right.
unless you move it.
It don't talk shit to you.
It don't talk. It doesn't close out. It doesn't.
Don't get in your head.
It can't. And like I said, I just think part of it, you know, when you play, you know, because again, we've lost the art of 3-on-3, 4-on-4. That, you know, and can you be better? Just, you know, getting your skills in the gym. Of course you can. But eventually, just like with any test, you study to take a test.
Right.
You don't study just to have the information.
Right.
Eventually, there's a test you take.
That's the game.
That's the game. So if you don't give them game stuff, they wouldn't know it.
I always say, man, it's like if I just shadow box, if I'm just a shadow boxer, you know, I'm looking good, and then I don't know how to respond when I get punched in my mouth.
Yeah, put me in front of you, it's all different.
Yeah, whenever you're ready to put the gloves on, dog.
Mike Tyson always said it. Everyone has a plan until you get punched in your mouth.
That's right.
Well, Book, man,
Dope.
you know, I know you since this whole ordeal, I've read you turn down a lot of on-camera interviews. I believe this is your first one doing on-camera.
Yeah.
For this situation.
Yeah,
I know you did the Point Guards joint. I loved it, by the way.
You know, I still haven't seen Point Guard.
You didn't watch it?
I was in Vegas with with the 2025 team.
Okay, gotcha.
Going undefeated in Vegas with them.
Okay.
Suspending a couple of them, but
Right. But the first time coming on camera, and we deeply appreciate it.
Man, bro, I just, what you doing for these kids, man?
what they doing for me?
What they doing for you?
Yeah,
what they doing, and you just got more. You definitely got more to do, bro. Thank you.
I appreciate it.
Yeah. We want to make you official member of Can't Guard Nation.
Yes, sir.
You should have told me put it on.
Well, we like to do it after. We don't
told me put the
you know what I mean? So,
sir.
we, again, I appreciate, man.
Family.
You know, anything, last words you want to say, or anything where they can find you, or anything you want to.
You know, you can find me. I think it's Book Richardson on
IG.
on Instagram, and I think on Twitter it's
I'll
Book
follow
Richardson.
you on both. I'll make sure I shout those out.
Yeah, and also just, you know, trying to make sure that I'm extremely thankful, you know, for the opportunity, and thank you. I love the, you know, again, to be able to do this and speak your truth and be honest.
Yes.
And that's what you guys have allowed me to do. And, you know, I hope someone can see this and understand, like, there's a level of commitment and dedication that I'm a coach, man.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? that's who I am.
That you are. That you are.
JT, take us out.
CGN, we all we got.